Arizona basketball looks the part at an open scrimmage, and could this be Tommy Lloyd's best team?
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. Locked On, your team every day. The show is brought to you today by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. All right, we got a lot to get to this show, but first we're going to talk about what this Arizona basketball team looks like because they look the part in spades. This is a team that I believe, well, we're going to make the case as to why they are good enough to cut down the nets. This is we're going to go player by player. We're going to talk about spacing. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. But first, practice was obviously open yesterday in Arizona. This is a really, really good team. There's no way around it. Tommy Lloyd talked about it, and he said, I got a lot of faith in this team, and there's a reason to have a lot of faith in this team because they are good. And you just look at some of the players that have improved, some of the players that are there. So let's just talk a little bit about what we saw at first. And the first thing that we saw was that both the freshmen, the two star freshmen, the guys that are out there, the guys that you look at them, you're like, all right, they're supposed to be different. Koa Pete, Braden Burries, those guys right there they're awesome. Now, Koa Pete, we got to talk about first. He's bigger than he's bigger and he's quicker and he's more athletic than about anybody in college basketball at that power forward position. Sure, he's going to come across some people that are of equal girth and strength. But he's also, like I said, he's also somebody, though, that is not going to be at all intimidated by any of that. I mean, he's good. This is somebody that I think is going to average probably 15 and 7, something like that. And you watch him and you're just like, all right, cool. I think he's going to get on to then he'll be off to the NBA after that. But I believe this will be Tommy Lloyd's best freshman. And I believe that this is going to be the best power forward here since D Will. I said it. I mean it. That's just kind of, I think that's just kind of the way that it is at this point. He's, like I said, he's really, really good. All right. Now, the next thing is, with Braden Burries. Braden Burries was brought in to score. Braden Burries was brought in to score the basketball, and he's going to be able to do exactly that. You watch him, and again, he's not an overwhelming athlete. He's not super dynamic athletically, but this is also a team. This is also a player as well that, like I said, you watch him, and you can just tell that he's a little bit different. Not only is he a little bit different, you can just tell those scoring chops are there. Not only are those scoring chops there, he's also a guy that is able to, he's a guy that's able to basically make plays, and he's going to continue to be able to make plays. They are basically what Tommy Lloyd, they're basically what Tommy Lloyd was looking for. And Tommy Lloyd, again, we've talked about this before. He's talked about it. He said that he needs, he basically told Jack Murphy, not only did he tell Jack Murphy, he told TJ Benson, I need these two players. And when I say I need these two players, I need them to be able to, come in here and make a difference. And they're going to be able to do both that. If these are the two best players on the team, I don't think that anybody would be surprised at all by that, to be honest with you. Like I said, this is going to be a really, really good basketball team. But those two guys, that's what Arizona needed. They look the part. Not only do they look the part, they're probably going to be the two best players that Arizona has on that roster. So we shall see. We shall find out about this. But I think that that's kind of where we're at with those two. They're good. Now let's talk about some of the other freshmen that I did not see this being the case. Yvonne looks like a great shooter. Now that is not, as the kids would say, that's not something that I had on my bingo card, but he looks good. And the threes that he was making were nothing but net threes. They were just, like I said, he wasn't even hitting barely even hitting the net. He looked really, really good. And, like I said, the big thing with him is he's just, he's already strong. He's already a tough guy. And this was the guy that they prioritized. They could have had some other guys, but they prioritized him. And I think he's going to be good. It's practice, but you know, when you're going against talented guys, you know what you are looking at, you know what you see, and what you see and what you get is, something that's going to be fairly unique. Now, the next thing though that we need to talk about is where then is this team when it comes to where then is this team honestly when it comes to what you're going to do with that small forward position. And I think you're going to basically be at you're kind of at that point right now that the small forward position is going to be good. I have no problem with the small forward position. I look at ADO, and not only do I look at ADO, I also see somebody that I can be like, all right, he's a lot stronger. He's obviously a good shooter. Everybody knows that he's a good shooter. And not only is he a good shooter, he's also a guy that, like I said, you watch him and you can just kind of tell that he looks a little bit different this year. Now, is he going to be great? Probably not. But at the same time, can he be better than last year? And that's kind of what all you're hoping for. And again, I like ADO. I think ADO kind of got a bum rap I think ADO kind of got a bum rap for people like from people like Shear, which I think is I think it, like I said, it's it is what it is. But I think he's going to be much better. And like I said, not only are they going to be much better, this is going to be a squad that I think you watch and you're just kind of like, all right, they just look the part. And I don't think it's going to take as long as it took last year. When you look at it last year, this was a team that, like I said, it just wasn't. It took a while to come together, and I think that's something that like I said, I don't really see that being a problem this year because I think the team's more talented, and I think players already kind of know their role. To be honest with you, that was another thing too. You look at it last year, and it took guys a long time to be able to figure out their role. I don't envision that being the case this year. I think I think that this is basically a situation where that Arizona is going to be more than fine. Now, the small forward position, though, I think it's going to be – everybody was bummed about Carter Bryant leaving, obviously. And I get it because, again, everybody wanted Carter back because Carter's good. But the small forward position is going to be just fine. Arizona is going to be just fine. And the great thing about it, too, not only is Arizona going to be just fine, you also know, too, that – Dwayne Aristode, who we didn't even get to. I would imagine at some point Dwayne Aristode is going to take that small forward position because I do believe as good as as Yvonne has looked, as good as somebody like Yvonne has looked, and ADO, Aristode, I think just is a little bit different. And when I say a little bit different, I mean somebody that is just going to kind of be able to come out there and just kind of be able to, like I said, just pretty much make plays, man. That's what I'm looking for when I see him. He's a monster. And those three guys, I think you're looking at something like 24 points per game, something like that. 24 points per game, 6 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists between those three. I think one averages 10, one averages 7, one averages 6, so somewhere in there. But I think that's a realistic possibility. And that's something, too, that I don't know that a lot of people thought that was going to be the case for Arizona this year. But that is more than the case. And I think not only is that going to be the case, it's not going to be a weak link at all in this team. I know a lot of people were really fretting about, okay, well, what is this team going to do? What's this squad going to do then with when it comes to being able to replace Carter? You got to remember, Carter was also 6-4. I like Carter a lot. This is not meant to, bash Carter at all because I think Carter's a great kid, comes from a great family, all of that. But you needed to be able, it's not like you're losing somebody like Caleb Love. I worry more about. I'll put it to you like that because Caleb Love was the one that got the ball, and especially at the end of the season, was the one that basically, when the chips were down, he was the one that was going to score. Who's going to be that guy this year? We'll find out. It could be Burries, it could be Pete, it could be a variety of other players, but Arizona is going to have some really, really good options. And that's really all that you can really, that's basically all you can really ask for, is just to be able to have some good options and to be able to look at it and say, that's going to be the next step for us. That's going to be the next step for us. And that's what they got. Now, Jaden Bradley, I love having Jaden Bradley back. The thing with Jaden Bradley is he is a, like I said, he is just a steady Eddie. And that's really the best way that I can put it. As a term that my grandma used, but you just know what you're going to get. And he's shooting the ball better. Is he going to be able to be better? I don't know, but he's also shooting the ball better. And I think that's something that you kind of look at and you're like, all right, can that translate over? Because if that translates over, then I think Arizona is going to be in pretty good shape. Now, I think that this is also a team, though, that you're kind of wondering about the depth a little bit. And I know a lot of people are kind of wondering, all right, how good can this team be? Because last year you didn't really have a lot of ball handlers, and you had basically two guys. Now there was a guy in there that was, going to be able to make some plays, and he's a local kid as well that I think there are a lot of people should be excited about. But first, Monarch Money, my friends, Monarch Money. Check it out. Okay, here's the deal. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even how much they're worth. It's annoying. Whether it's 401k properties or investments, and when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. Monarch Money is here to help you. Monarch Money does the heavy lifting for you. That's the best part about it. You don't have to speculate. You don't have to jump around. You don't have to do any of that stuff. And again, you can link all your accounts in minutes. That's what's so great about it. You can see clear data, visuals. You're going to end up saving money. That's what they're here for. Their job is to save you money and to make your life easier. And again, do you have a subscription that you forgot you're even paying for? I mean, magazines that you're like, oh, I don't even know I'm still getting those. Or do you know, it can also help you with budgeting. All kinds of different stuff, though. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Again, let Monarch Money help you save some of that hard-earned money. Thanks for giving it a Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your hold on a second here. I'm your host, Mike Luke. All right, there we go. All right, now let's talk a little bit about Evan Nelson. Listen, first time I watched Evan Nelson, he was in 8th grade. He's a good player. He is, you don't generally see a lot of Division I players come through here. Evan Nelson is a Division I player. He is and he was solid at Harvard. 9 points, 3 rebounds, something like that. So that's Arizona basically just needs him to be solid. You don't need him to be great. And I'm always going to say this. Can he be kind of a cross between, say, I'm trying to think of a good example here. Can he be a cross between, say, a Justin Kier and an Evan Nelson? Basically a poor man's Justin Kier. Can he be that? Because if he can be that, then I think Arizona can be pretty good. That's the thing, though, that's going to be interesting about that is that what is that upside then for Arizona? Are they going to be able to be good? Because Evan Nelson is going to be able to make that one that Evan Nelson's also going to be that one that he basically needs to be able to make that next play. So we'll be able to find that out. So that's kind of where we're at this point. Now, the Evan Nelson, though, like I said, he was shooting threes. He was making, he's been making the steady play. He's been making the right pass. And again, you just need him to be solid. You just need him to be able to steal. You just need to be able to steal a few minutes with him. If you steal a few minutes with him, you're going to be more than okay. And I think that's just kind of what Arizona fans are. I think that's what Arizona fans are really hoping for, just to be able to steal a few minutes here and there and not really lose it. The problem with Conrad is that he played well when he came in, but the problem is the teams went after Conrad. And when they went after Conrad, it was just kind of sharks in the water at that point. That was the part that I think was a little bit frustrating for people, is that he just wasn't big enough. I mean, I know he's listed at 6 foot or whatever, but it felt like he was 5'2" out there. And Evan is just a bigger guy. Evan is a physically more imposing guy. He's physically more mature. Now, could Conrad be good where he is? Sure. I wouldn't surprise me at all, but Evan's better. That's really the way that I'm just going to put it. Evan's better, so they upgraded that position. Now, the one guy that was really, really sticking out was Tobe Awaka. Now, I was told by somebody close to the program a while back that Tobe Awaka could be a first-round pick. I still think that's crazy, but in practice, though, Awaka was hitting turnarounds. He was making threes. We'll find out. Can he really make that next step? If he can make that next step, then Arizona is going to be in a good spot. If he can't make that next step, well, Arizona's still kind of back where they were. But Tobe, though, Tobe is a tough dude. And like I said, when I watch Tobe, I just think to myself, that is somebody that you win basketball games with. Is he going to start over Krivas? Probably not. But at the same time, he's also going to play 22 minutes per game. He's probably going to average 8 and 8. something like that. And when 8-8, 9-7, something like that. And he's going to have some games where he's one of the best players on the court. And that's really just kind of what you want out of a Waka. You watch him and you're just like, okay, that's just kind of what we need. Can we get that out of him? And I don't think that there's really any reason why you can't get that out of him. So like I said, he's an interesting player. He's tough. He really grew on me as the season went on. And I think that there were times when Tommy probably didn't play him enough, i.e. that Oregon game. I thought he should have played him a lot more. Didn't play him, but it is what it is. But Awaka looked good. Krivas looked solid as well. I love Krivas. When I watch Krivas, I'm trusting Tommy on that one. There were times, last year where he didn't look the part, but I'm also going to chalk some of that up, though, to him being injured. And Tommy, like we talked about, his track record with big men it's pretty much flawless. Every big man that he said, you look at it, when he took over Christian Koloko for a couple of years here had basically been nothing under Sean Miller. He immediately turns into an All-American type under Lloyd. Then bringing in Umar Ballo, leader of men. Umar Ballo was supposed to be like a bit player. He turned him into 15-10, and Umar got paid. He went to Indiana, and they found out he wasn't nearly that good, but that's not really that's not really a negative to Umar. That's a testament to Tommy Lloyd. Then you look at Keyshawn Johnson. He's in the NBA as well. That was obviously a good career decision. And then Henry Vasar. Henry looked like a lost puppy. Now he's going to be the starting center at North Carolina. We will find out how that plays out. I do not see him playing up to the expectations that those fans have, but who knows? I've been wrong before. Maybe I'll be wrong again. I don't really see it though. And then you just start salivating, thinking about, what Koa Pete can do and all of that. But this is going to be, like I said, this is going to be a fun team. This is going to be a really, really fun team to watch. And this is a team that, like I said, there's just a lot to like about them. But let's talk about the shooting now, because the shooting, I think, is something that, took a lot of people by surprise, including me. And again, you still got to have it come out during the game. I get all that, but making 3-point shots will make things easier. I think shooting still in college is a little bit overrated. I think it's far more important to be able to have guys that can get to the hoop. But at the same time, I'm also more than okay with, if you got guys that can shoot, you got guys that can shoot. And so we'll take it. So Yvonne looked like a shooter. When you watched him, it looked pure. It didn't look fluky. I know that he didn't put up great numbers shooting elsewhere, but, sometimes things are a little bit different for different folks. Maybe that's just the case here with Yvonne. Maybe he just needed to get a little bit more, maybe a little bit more skin in the game. I don't know exactly, but he looked good. Awaka as well. He looked good. Braden Burries, we know, can shoot. The thing that was also cool about is Jaden Bradley. Jaden Bradley is, like I said, he is a he is a guy that you watch him, and his 3-point shot is you watch him and you're just kind of like, okay, it's a little different. That's a little bit different. So we'll find out, but he's got to be able to make the shot. He's got to be able to keep teams honest. And if he can keep teams honest, that's kind of where it's at. We shall find out. But I'm really bullish on this team. And he is, like I said, this is a guy that, you watch him and you're just kind of like, okay, we'll see what the next step is. But Tommy's also comfortable. Now I'm going to make the case for why this will be Tommy Lloyd's best team at Arizona. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Michael Luke. All right, now let's talk a little bit about now why this is going to be Tommy Lloyd's best team. I believe that this is the most talented most talented team across the board that Arizona has under Tommy Lloyd. It's a tough team. The thing that I really, really like about it is, you watch him and you're just kind of like, all right, this is going to be the next step here. And being in the Big 12 really helped this team last year because you're not able to sleepwalk. When you were in the Pac-12, you were able to sleepwalk, and it didn't help you come NCAA tournament time. You look at that Oregon game, Arizona gets down 21-4, and I don't believe that Arizona is coming back from that one. Not only do I not believe that Arizona is coming back from that one, I don't believe that Arizona could have gotten blown out. Not only do I believe Arizona could have gotten blown out, But they did it because, again, you've got a tougher situation there. You've got a tougher situation. Not only do you have a tougher situation, you've also got a situation, too, where you've got a team, like I said, in Arizona that is going to be a lot tougher. And I think that's the exciting part about this, is to be a lot tougher. This is a team that like I said, it's talented and it's got a nice combination. The other thing as well that is exciting about all of this is you just kind of look at it and you kind of think to yourself, okay, what is that next? Is this his combination of his toughest, most talented team? The first year's team had a little bit of a difficult situation. And what I mean by that is, it was a good team. It was loaded, but you didn't really have any ball handlers. And when you didn't have any ball handlers, you didn't really have a situation where you're like, okay, cool. That's going to be the situation. Arizona's different this year. Arizona's in a spot where you're like, okay, you're in a pretty good spot. And not only are you in a good spot, you're also in a situation where that, talent, you're going to have a lot of talent. Last year, you could kind of tell at the end that Tommy didn't feel comfortable with certain guys on the court. That's not going to be the case this season. Obviously he's going to feel comfortable with some guys on the court. Not only is he going to feel comfortable with some guys on the court, I think he's going to absolutely, show this situation and show it for basically what it's worth. So, like I said, we're going to see, but Braden Burry's NBA talent. Braden Burry's, not only is he an NBA talent, he is a player that, like I said, he was a top 10 player for a reason. Not only was he a top 10 player for a reason, he was, like I said, and he's a little bit older. That's the other thing other thing that makes a lot of sense, is that you're a little bit older, and Koa Pete's kind of the same way. You watch him and it's just like, all right, cool. Like, you guys are going to be ready to rock and roll. You guys are going to be ready to go. Koa Pete, same thing. Like we talked about, you watch him at that U19 game, and with the U19 team, there were times when he was the best player on the court. And not only were there times where he was the best player on the court, there were also times where you looked at him and you're like, man, this guy's ready for the NBA at this point. That's kind of where it's, like I said, it becomes a little bit interesting, and where, I think things are a little fascinating here. So we'll see. But also the ball handling, I think that situation is basically covered at this point. Shooting looked good, and they're big, they're physical. And I don't know that there's a ton of question marks. Again, you still got to see it on the court. You got to be able to get to that next level. Arizona's shown, though, that they can get to that next level. And not only has Arizona shown that they can get it to that next level, they've also shown, too, that this is a team that is in a good spot. And I think they hit on these recruits. The one thing that would be great is if you could get CD back. If you can get CD back in here, because you'd love to have him as that backup center. Then you really, really feel good. Plus, you can start looking towards next year, because Arizona's going to lose a lot of guys. We shall see. But like I said, this team looks the part. This team's good. Tommy knows this team's good. Everybody knows this team's good, and that's why it's exciting about all of this. Now, so the next thing is, we're going to talk a little bit of Arizona football and how everybody looks going forward. And I think the best thing about all of this is, there is a lot of optimism. And again, it's camp. I get all of that. I totally understand it. But at the same time, you've got a coach now in Seth Dagey that clearly knows what he's doing. You've got an offense that I think they did a fairly good job. Like I said, it's all going to come down to the offensive line. Is the O-line good enough? If the O-line's good enough, then I think Arizona's going to be good enough. Defensively, Danny Gonzalez is growing on me. Again, we'll find out. Making a bowl game is the biggest thing in the world for me, though. If you make a bowl game, then that is your springboard to the next game. And then after that springboard to the next game, you're kind of like, all right, at year 3, can you get 8 wins? Can you get 9 wins? Can you keep pushing it forward? And it would also show me, too, that Brent Brennan's got this thing on track. Last year was obviously a disaster. I don't know that anybody, including the staff, would dispute that, but you got another chance at it right here. You got to be able to win. Noah's looked good in camp. The receivers have looked good. Not only have the receivers looked good, the running backs, like I said, it's the offense. If the offensive line can be good enough, this team should be good enough. And that's just kind of where I'm going to leave it with that one. Either way, though, kind of an exciting time for Arizona. But this Arizona basketball team, this team looks the part in spades. Not only does this team look the part in spades, this is a team as well that Tommy's obviously very comfortable in, so we shall see. But as always, Very much appreciate you all making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Mike Luke. Bear down, back the A, Locked On, your team every day. We'll be back with you tomorrow talking some Arizona football because we are a football school as well.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast.